only the church, but of us. And the Bible talks about how he knows even the intents of the heart. So, but that's not the only part of the description. The other part of the description is feet of brass. Where did he go? His feet are like fine brass. And that description is about judgment. In other words, Jesus not only knows everything, but he's going to do something about it. And you see, that's one of the problems we have in this life, is that there are times when we know something, but we can't do anything about it. Or there are times when we know something and we think somebody should do something about it, but nobody does. When it comes to Jesus, he not only knows, but he's ready to do something about it. And there's two sides of it he gives in this passage. One is the false teacher that he's dealing with. And you can do your own study on this, but be careful, because it's scary. We're talking about killing them. Wow! But that just tells us how seriously Jesus takes someone who leads us astray. Which says to us, we need to be careful about what we say to the people around us. I put James's verse in here, the way his take on it, in the bulletin. Let not many of you become teachers, knowing that we shall receive a stricter judgment. And you'll notice that he says we. He puts himself in that category. He says, be careful about being a teacher, because, as we see in this passage, Jesus takes that seriously. I take this seriously because I know that Jesus does. But we need to be careful as we're giving advice, or as we're teaching Sunday school, or a Bible study, or just casual conversation at church. We need to be careful what we say, because, first of all, other people's lives are affected by it. And because of that, Jesus cares. I don't give advice very often, as you may have noticed. Because through the years, people have looked to me for advice because of my position. And that scares me wicked. Because what if they do what I say and it's wrong? I don't want to have somebody's life in my hands. I don't want to have somebody's situation that they mess up because of something that I said. And Jesus says that's the critical point. Be careful. Be careful. That's what I got out of this scary part. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you teach. Because it affects the lives of other people, and it affects Jesus, who not only sees, but he is able to do something about it. In my lifetime, I have seen this happen. And those of you who are my age have seen it happen. Those of you who are younger may have missed it. You missed that part. But there were a couple of famous church people whom Jesus personally dealt with. Ironically, their names were both Jim. I don't think there's a particular problem with that name, but Jimmy Swaggart and Jimmy Baker had great ministries, supposedly, but got off track and headed down into left field. And Jesus said to both of them, that's enough. Jesus said, because it's his church, because they're his pastors. Okay, that's enough of the scary stuff. Let's get to verse 24, 25, and 26 again. Because he not only knows when somebody's doing something wrong, but he knows when somebody is doing their best. And I like this part. Because he says in verse 24, for those of you who are trying to do your best, for those of you who are following me, for those of you who are sticking close to, how do you say who are doing what I want you to do. He says, I'm not going to burden you any further. He basically says, hang in there. Keep it up. With the idea that I know, I'm watching. And I see when you do well. I see when you're doing good things. I see when your heart is right. And hang in there. And you hang in there, and you will be by my side in my kingdom. You see, that verse about a rod of iron and whacking whatever they're whacking, is about Jesus. But he says if we are going to stick close to him, he'll allow us to be a part of what he's doing. Okay. This passage simply says Jesus knows. And Jesus takes action on what he knows. He cares about his church, he cares about his people, he cares about you, he cares about me. And he cautions us to be careful about our advice or our teaching. And he encourages us that if we stick close to him, we can be a part of his kingdom. Let's pray together. Father, I thank you that when you gave us Jesus, you gave us Jesus and all that he was for all time. And I thank you for his involvement in the world today, in our church today, in our lives today. Father, I pray for anyone here who's discouraged today, who's been trying hard and is discouraged. Help them to hear again that Jesus knows, that appreciates what they're doing, and encourages them. And help us each, as we walk each day close to Jesus, hearing what he says, and being quick to do it. We ask in his name. Amen.